The Houston Texans and New York Giants are entering the season with plenty of expectations, but for very different reasons. CJ Stroud is under major pressure to rebound after a disappointing 2025 season and prove he can lead Houston to a Super Bowl. Meanwhile, the Giants are hoping a healthy Malik Nabers can transform an offense built around Jackson Dart and a new coaching direction. Both teams have talented pieces, but their quarterbacks will play a huge role in determining how far they can go. The biggest question is whether that talent can finally translate into consistent offensive production.
Going to have to be pretty damn good, and I think that's nothing above what he has the ability to accomplish. I look at C.J. Stroud, you look at his rookie year and how well he performed, and just look at the preseason game. I know it was a relatively small sample size, but seeing the way this offense operated, being able to run the football, getting multiple tight ends on the field, and then C.J. Stroud coming through when he needed to on those third down situations. I think for C.J. Stroud is getting back to football in the way he's played it when he first came in the league. He's gone through different offensive coordinators. This will be his second year with Nick Caley, the offensive coordinator, and now you get a guy like Kayshon Boutte, who's probably a little bit above Jayden Higgins, who was an emerging player who was probably going to be really good for them in that number 2 spot. Kayshon Boutte proved in New England last year that he could be a down-the-field threat and someone that could be relied on. I compare C.J. Stroud on this team in Houston with how dominant their defense was a year ago. You compare it to Seattle, a team that went and won the Super Bowl a year ago. Sam Darnold last year, 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. He wasn't just along for the ride as the quarterback of that team. He made plays for them throughout the regular season and showed up in the postseason for them. C.J. Stroud is going to have to be similar. They're going to rely on him to come through in third down situations in the fourth quarter in 2 minutes to win football games. I think he is fully capable of it. All reports out of Houston, he's been completely locked in from the spring all the way through training camp. I think for C.J. Stroud, this year is going to be him building that momentum and having a tremendous year, and we could see him in the offseason asking to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Boy, I think 90% of the time, C.J. Stroud just needs to stay out of the way and not be the reason that they lose games. When you have an elite defense, a generational defense, as the Texans do, he can just be good. I think if he's flirting that top 15 quarterback in the NFL, is a team that can make it to the Super Bowl. When you look back at especially that Patriots game last year, the 4 interceptions, 3 of those, all 3 that were his fault, one of them got tipped, all came on first down. All forced throws that he didn't have to make. I think C.J. Stroud really started to feel the pressure of this elite defense and feeling like he needed to carry and they can make it to a Super Bowl. And like you said, a team that will have to pay him high money because he's a young quarterback that's got a bright future.
If he was average last year, I think they win the Super Bowl. Like, he stunk. Yep. Think about that. In the playoffs, he stunk last year. He can't stink. Now, do I think the defense is going to be historically good the way they were last year? Probably not. It's really tough to do that a couple years in a row, but they're still going to be a really damn good defense. And if that's the case, then you need your quarterback to be opportunistic, which is what I think you guys are saying. He can't throw turnovers. He can't turn the football away. So how good does he have to play? He's just got to be, if he's an average quarterback, they're going to be a top 5 team in football. If he's a good quarterback, I think they could be really good. If he's a great quarterback, they could be dominant. Everybody's talking about the Los Angeles Rams and everything that they've done and Myles Garrett and all these things. Think about the best defense in football. Last year, that was the Houston Texans. And they had Will Anderson, they got Danielle Hunter, they got Derek Stingley Jr. We all look at the new shiny toy, which is the Rams. We had a Rams-like defense last year with the Houston Texans. The problem is they had very, very poor quarterback play. So as much as we think the Rams are a favorite, as much as we think the Rams are going to be dominant, Houston had that very same opportunity last year. And I think it's on C.J. Stroud. I think there are a couple of quarterbacks that are kind of playing for their future and which path they take. I think Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, 2 quarterbacks that did not receive a new contract after their 3rd year. Are they going to take the next step and vault themselves into stardom and get the $50 or $60 million deals? Or are they going to become a journeyman? Because I think the questions are out in Houston, the questions are out in Carolina, and C.J. Stroud cannot be the weak link. And I think right now there is more pressure on C.J. Stroud than any other player in football not named Kyler Murray. I think those 2 guys have the most pressure on them in football because they have teams that are ready to win now, if not for the quarterback. And both of them are starting quarterbacks. Kyler Murray, C.J. Stroud. Super Bowl caliber teams, the key is in your hands.
And Boog, that's what worries me, though. He knows he's playing for a contract. He knows how important it is. And that's, to me, when he was at his worst last year, when he was pressing, when he felt the pressure. That's why I want him to remember, hey, David Montgomery behind you is going to help you out a lot. This is a team that couldn't run the football last year. 3.9 yards per carry, 29th in the NFL. That group, Montgomery and Woody Marks, much improved. Be okay handling the football off. Manage the game when you have to. You're going to get that contract if you're a good quarterback. You don't have to be a great quarterback.
Game manager is a compliment, not an insult.
Yes.
It just means doing what the coach asks and not giving the other team the ball. That's what Stroud needs to be. Every coach likes that, including new Giants head coach John Harbaugh, who said Monday it is reasonable to assume that third-year wide receiver Malik Nabers will be ready to go for Big Blue's opener against the Cowboys on September 13th. The Pro Bowler shed the red practice jersey yesterday and now is participating in live drills. Nabers is just 2 years removed from a rookie season with 109 receptions. Jordan, what is the Giants' offensive ceiling with a healthy Nabers?
A top 10 offense. And I don't know if that's going to surprise some people. It shouldn't, because last year with Jackson Dart, when he was healthier, when he was on the field, they were a top 15 offense. They scored 22 points per game, and that is without Malik Nabers for that entire stretch of Jackson Dart, minus a couple targets in his first ever start, and without Cam Scatterbo, their best running back for 9 of those games. You had 2 of your best players, a rookie quarterback. You had 6 or 7 one-score games that you were in. They all went the wrong way for them. You had John Harbaugh, you have a healthy Malik Nabers, and you have a Jackson Dart year 2. You're telling me this is not going to be a top 10 offense? I'm going to push back against that. I love Dart. I'm bullish on him. When they're healthy, it's going to be a team to watch.
Yeah, Jason, I'm comfortable saying they're not going to be a top 10 offense. What about you?
Same. I look at this team. I look at this team.
Is it going to be worse with those guys on the field?
You're just assuming that now you bring in Matt Nagy, a brand new offensive coordinator, where Jackson Dart is learning a brand new offense that, to me, isn't going to be dialed up the same way Brian Dable, who I felt like tried to make things a little bit easier for Jackson Dart in year 1 for the simple fact of they had to win games to keep that coaching staff in place. I think you're looking at a team now under John Harbaugh who brought in Isaiah Likely, who drafted an offensive lineman in the first round and brought over a fullback from the Baltimore Ravens and Pat Ricard. They're going to try to run the football and I think take the ball out of Jackson Dart's hands a little bit more and simplify things. So I think, yes, Malik Nabers coming back gives him an explosive element. I think Malik Nabers is a top wide receiver when healthy in this league, a top 5 type of talent that he has. But I'm just not so sure that you bring in all of this newness around Jackson Dart and now they're just going to take the leap and be a top 10 offense in this league. You got to start to look around the rest of the league and some of the quarterbacks and players that we're talking about. Cincinnati, the Dallas Cowboys, what Lamar Jackson's going to be doing, and Buffalo, the Rams, Seattle with Jackson Smith and Jigba. There are so many talented teams for me to just assume this Giants team is going to be in the top 10 just because they added Matt Nagy as their offensive coordinator and they changed everything around Jackson Dart. To me, that is a huge leap to say just you hit reset and you're automatically in the top 10.
Yeah, it's a leap on which I'm willing to take. In New York, like we love the big city. We love making things really big. Remember Jeremy Lin? Hey, Linsanity. It only lasted a moment. I'm not saying that this Cam Scatterbo, Jackson Dart thing is going to be Linsanity, but I got to see it long term. I got to see it over 17 games before I start calling this offense a top 10 offense. I think when you look at Malik Nabers, bona fide stud. Can he stay healthy? A lot of questions about the knee. Those questions have seemed to have gone away. Let's see, can he stay healthy? I agree with you a little bit, Jordan. They got a lot of weapons. They got a lot of pieces. I just want to see how it's going to go together with this run-heavy, physical offensive style that John Harbaugh is going to bring. A lot of talent. Will the pieces go together? And again, I will say it again. If we start talking about the top 15 running backs in football, are we even listing Cam Scatterbo? I know we love listing America. Like Cam Scatterbo, we continue to act like it's Saquon Barkley. Like he had a good moment. He's made a lot of noise off the field, just as much as he's made on the field. I'm not sold on Cam Scatterbo yet. So I understand the talent and how New York is starving for Big Blue to be really good. I need to see it. And the one thing that gives me confidence is I trust John Harbaugh. I know with 18 years of experience in Baltimore what he did. I trust him. And if he feels good about it, where he's at right now, that gives me a little confidence. But I still got to see this Cam Scatterbo, Jackson Dart, Malik Nabers, big three to see how it works. I just got to see it.
Jordan, who are all the weapons that they have? All of the weapons.
What was that?
Who are all of the weapons that the Giants have?
They didn't have any of them on the field last year, and they were a top 15 offense. That's my point, though, is they get their best receiver back. He wasn't on the field at all for a young quarterback. They get their best running back. Again, I'm not saying Cam Scatterbo is Saquon Barkley, but he was their best option and he wasn't on the field for 9 games. And by the way, this is not a full reset. The system really isn't changing that much. The offensive coordinator last year, Mike Kafka, cut his teeth.
In my opinion, CJ Stroud is the biggest key to the Texans season. Houston already has an elite defense, and the addition of Kayshon Boutte could help replace some of the production lost with Jayden Higgins' injury. Stroud doesn't need to be perfect, but he absolutely cannot repeat the turnover problems that hurt him in the playoffs. I agree with the idea that Stroud's best approach should be playing within himself instead of trying to carry the entire team. David Montgomery and Woody March should give Houston a better rushing attack after the Texans averaged only 3.9 yards per carry last season. If Stroud can manage games, avoid unnecessary throws, and make the important third and fourth quarter plays, Houston has enough around him to compete at the highest level. The pressure on Stroud is also significant because Houston appears ready to win now. The defense featuring Will Anderson, Derek Stingley Jr., and Danielle Hunter gives the Texans a strong foundation. But the quarterback cannot be the weak link. If Stroud returns closer to the level he showed as a rookie, I think Houston has a realistic path to becoming one of the NFL's best teams. The Giants are a much more uncertain situation, but Malik Nabers returning healthy could make a huge difference. He gives Jackson Dart a legitimate explosive weapon, while Cam Skattebo and the additions along the offensive line could support a more physical rushing attack. I understand why some people see a top 1-0 offense, but I think that prediction is still too aggressive. Before we see the new pieces work together, what gives me some confidence in New York is John Harbaugh. His experience and emphasis on physical football could help simplify things for Dart and prevent the young quarterback from being asked to do too much. The fact that the offensive system may not be changing as dramatically as it first appears could also allow Dart to develop faster than expected.